Belief that you could take 10 men with knives.
I have a belief that, yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because
That's
delusional.
That's delusional.
Yeah, but it gives me a best chance of possibly winning. So I think the best mindset you could adopt is finding that engaging and exciting. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie to you. Although I am facing very serious charges, and although they are trying to destroy my life, and although I cannot sleep the same, and although they're out to get me, and although I've suffered, part of me is excited. Part of me is like, okay.
Why?
Because it's a war.
Uh-huh. You like war.
I think all men do.
Uh-huh. I do.
Yeah, of course. All men do. Yeah. So it's a battle.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. So I'm not saying I'm glad it happened, because I'm certainly not. And I'm not saying I'm going to win. But I'm saying that I've trained myself to the point where if I were walking down the street and 10 men were to pull knives on me, I'd be intimidated, but 20% of me would go, this will be one to remember.
Do you have
I forgot who said this, so it's gonna kick me in the nuts because I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But the saying was, the most important thing as a competitor is knowing when to compete. And that has resonated with me so much in my post-athletic career, or post-college athletic career, is knowing when to turn it on and when to turn it off, and being able to recognize when I'm in a competition.
Yeah.
And then knowing when I'm not in a win or lose or battle war type scenario what Tate is describing. So it's interesting how he knows when he's fighting. Obviously, there's these signals in the ring. It's really easy to tell when someone else is trying to beat the fuck out of you. Then you know, okay, I'm in a physical fight. Or when you're in a debate, like when there's a very specific style with a moderator and you're refuting other people's points. And this strikes me more as a conversation than a debate. But like you have these signals that you are in a competition, so it's time to turn on that win or lose mentality in your brain. And it seems like Tate has that in hyperdrive all the time.
Yeah, it's the only gear
almost like
he
Michael
has.
Jordan.
It's the only gear he has.
Yeah, like the Michael Jordan documentary. It seemed like he's also a guy that's like that too, where just whether he's playing in the NBA championships or he's rolling dice with the guy who cleans the locker room, he's going to try to win no matter what all the time.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because I think, I mean, I don't know what Michael Jordan's relationships were like with people. I've heard things, but if you perceive, if the only gear you're operating according to is the win or lose mentality, it's like if I have a motorcycle and I only have one gear, the likelihood that I'm going to get into an accident is very high. And if you only perceive the world through this paradigm, then either someone is a friend or an enemy, right? Either someone is trying to encourage you to win or trying to defeat you. And this is where the delusion comes in. This is where the fear-creating distortions comes in, right? If you see everything as an enemy, or every other human being, or every other scenario as a potential enemy, then the dogma with which you must move throughout the ecosystem will ultimately destroy you, I think. I'm also thinking of like Black Swan for some reason. That film is coming up for me. Like with Black Swan, if Black Swan is perceived as a video game, Natalie Portman's character, the goal is to win, right? The goal is to win the role of the Black Swan. But of course, like as her coach or ballet director tells her, it's like, you need to actually learn how to be spontaneous to be the Black Swan. You can't be just like rigid forever, because that's part of the Black Swan's character is her ability to be present. And this will, well, spoiler alert, this will come up later, right? Be present. And Natalie Portman's character cannot become present. And she ends up sacrificing herself, killing herself in order to become Black Swan. So like, there's a it's a, like David said, it's a beautiful skill, but it can destroy you if it's the only gear that you have, that you're operating. If it's the only framework that you're operating according to, then it could end up destroying you. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. And for example, like if you're, just to go back to the fighting analogy, if you're constantly in that single gear of competition, you might confuse someone reaching out towards you to help you as someone throwing a punch, because they do look very similar. Yeah. And so if you view everything in life as some sort of maneuver for someone trying to conquer you, like even like you do a lot of things in fighting that are to set up shots to injure someone, and it's not always, you're not always hurting someone right away. You're feinting, you're moving to the side, you're setting up combinations, you're throwing fake kick, like you're doing a lot of things that in other circumstances wouldn't be a threat outside the ring. And so if you're viewing yourself in the ring all the time, there may be someone who's actually not trying to fight at all. Yeah. But you perceive that as a violent action, and so you automatically become defensive. Yeah, and then you actually end up creating self-fulfilling prophecies, because now that you're defensive, the likelihood that that other person will become defensive is increased. Yeah, it's like I knocked out 13 people at the supermarket. Everyone wanted to fight me. I don't know why. Every time I reach for the bananas, some other old lady tries to steal my goddamn bananas. So I have to teach her a lesson. It's almost as if there's like a PTSD here, right? Like soldiers coming back from war experience this too, where if they were in Fallujah and they come back to New York and they hear an ambulance passing by, that noise, it sets them off and they're transported back into Fallujah, but they're actually not in Fallujah. And so like the psychotherapist's task is to help the person who's being coached essentially to distinguish between what's real and what's not real. And the way Andrew gets through this is by saying, yes, but my mental model, helps me win trophies and helps me make money, but it's like not helpful if you're just like yelling at the old ladies in the grocery store, right? Yeah. So. Yeah. Yes. So, I mean, some of them hit back, but 99% of the time, they just they want to give you a kiss on the cheek or just ask for your help. Oh, before you press play, sorry, one quick thing. Have you seen Midnight Gospel? No, I have not. Okay, there's an episode of Midnight Gospel that I just watched where this character just like is basically sending out love and forgiveness to people who want to fight. It's very funny and very appropriate for this conversation. But yeah. I have that in my phone to check out. I think you told me when we recorded the podcast. It's the Duncan Trussell show, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. No, I need to put that at the top of the list to check it out. It's so good.
Belief that you could take 10 men with knives?
I have a belief that, I do. Because
that's
delusional.
That's delusional.
Yeah, but it gives me a best chance of possibly winning.
Well, no, running away would give you the best chance of possibly winning, then coming back and being safe, and then serving out your mission.
Of course, I would run away in that scenario. But if I had to engage them, if I had to engage them, right. If I had to fight them, I believe I'd be the most capable if I believed I could win.
Of course.
So for that reason, if I have to self-delude, then I will self-delude, and I will convince myself that I am here to destroy all 10 of them. And I will say it in a way where at least 7 of them believe me. And that's the most important part sometimes about all of this self-delusion.
So David creates a space for him to shift, right? From, of course I would fight them, to if I had to fight them, right? But like, it's interesting. The space in between, I feel like reveals something, or might potentially reveal something, which is that the challenge is the following question: does Andrew automatically believe that he has to fight them? Right? Is that his default assumption? Because that is where the delusion sets in.
Yeah, like is he running? Is that side of his brain just like high gear all the time, or would he be able to turn that off?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a life or death question right there.
I would love that. I mean, he is a professional fighter, so I do think if 10 average guys tried to kick the shit out of him, he would probably be able to beat at least 8 and maybe 1 or 2 just because of the sheer force of 10 guys charging at once would overwhelm you. But I would love to see that CCTV footage of Tate walking down the street, 10 guys go up to him. There's a clear path to run away. They're walking up to him from one side. Does he just fucking bite down and start swinging, or does he actually run away? Would his mental model allow him to run away in that scenario? Yeah.
Right.